the review of the Q4 goals from Mr. Tullis.
Mayor, council members, if you look at the Q4 goal sheet, I've tried to put some updates on there. Your zoning and subdivision regulations are closing out. I anticipate at least the subdivision regulations can be in front of you by the end of the year. I anticipate that the zoning, which you have a binder, I think each have a binder on your desk with the latest version of that. Based on how it needs to go through the Planning Commission and Council, I might fall into the first quarter of next year, just on the timing of it. But substantially complete for all of those pending final review. Councilman Johnson, I know you had sent out an email that you had met with some of the animal control or shelter people that were interested in a no-kill animal shelter. Would you mind giving that update?
No, we had a great meeting at the chamber there. There was probably 10 of us. Several of the rescue outfits or organizations were in presence there. Bill Brooks, he started opening the meeting from the SOS group. I briefed them on the project that Dothan is doing, which is the new rescue place up there, pet adoption, which is the Wiregrass Pet Adoption Association, I believe. And since then, those folks, Bill and a couple of people, did a drive-by up there and also talked to their representative up there, because I said, why reinvent the wheel? Because their project concerns Dothan and Houston County and then private or public entities. And so they got with those folks up there, got some information. We're waiting to get a date for the next meeting, which should be within a couple of weeks. We talked about, what's the path ahead? How are we going to do this? And then we went down a few rabbit holes a couple of times. We had to bring it back to saying, okay, we got to get the building. How are we going to do this first? So the meeting is going on. I feel comfortable with it and with the folks there. Also, we had the county there with us, Rod, to help us out and see what the county does. So with the next meeting, I think we'll have probably that path ahead of who's going to do what. And I told we need to break off in committees and a little form or organization of looking at property, looking at whatever we have to do to make this come to fruition. So it's moving better than it was before. We got those people to talk, and we're going ahead with it. Any other questions on that for that? I will get you the date. When I get it, I'll send it out to everybody for our next meeting in case you want to come by.
Sure. And some of the things that I know that we had talked about as a group is really, I think, it's imperative to define the problem. Mm-hmm. So, to that extent that committee could help, that's something we don't have. But, how many animals are in need in
right.
Enterprise and Coffee County.
That was one of the things with the rescue folks asked, okay, how many rescues are out there? What do we have each day? And then we have to check with animal control too and see what's the numbers out there, what's the need. And the same thing for over at SOS.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I would also add, what resources do we have and are we willing to commit to combat said problem, right? I mean, ultimately it's going to come down to how much and who's paying. Mm-hmm. So, just make sure we keep that part of the dialogue also.
It's called the Wiregrass Pet Rescue and Adoption Center. If you go up and look at their website, it's excellent. It shows how they're getting funding, how they did it, things like that. So I recommend the council members.
That's the one in Houston County?
Yes, sir. Sure is. It's off of 51 at a bypass there, going out there, plot of land.
The wayfinding signage, I think I sent that out. It was a pretty lengthy document. If you recall, we didn't print it the last time, but I sent it to each one of your emails to kind of review. On that front, we're basically waiting. I mean, the deliverable has been made from the wayfinding signage on the proposal. I think Councilman Townsend, you were absent at the last meeting, but essentially, it depends on how much do you want to do? Do you want to do it all at once? Do you want to do the A or the C model of signage, and that impacts the cost. So I think on the low end, it was around $240,000, and on the high end, over $500,000. So I think probably at this point, I'll throw it back to the council to see, obviously that wasn't in our budget. So that's not something we have funds, appropriated for this year. If we do it, in speaking with some of our staff, that would be something that I think, particularly on the lower end, could be manageable over a period of 3 years or so, as was suggested in the proposal. But, certainly this year, I don't know that we have the funds to implement. So I'll put it back to the council. Where would you like us to proceed?
So my recommendation on this would be to, we've got in January, we'll be having our annual strategic planning session. I think we've accomplished our goals for this year. We engaged a firm. We got some cost estimates. Let's, we can discuss in January of what the next steps would be.
Okay. The fire chief updating the council on stakeholder meetings. So he's continued to have those, and not to call him up here again, save him some time, but this is going to be an ongoing process, and I'm not sure that there's a good estimate on a resolution. There's a lot of stakeholders and variables that need to be articulated, and most of them are outside of our control. They deal with, insurance boards and state regulations and federal regulations. And so the only actionable item that I heard the last time, that if it's possible to do, there may need to be some sort of council action. Is that correct? In terms of a ordinance or a resolution from the council?
I've had a couple extra meetings with the state fire marshal, some representatives from ICC. My hope is that I'll be able to get you guys some information. I would love to say before the next meeting, certainly before the first meeting in December. And at that point, based off of the information that I present to you, I'm hoping that you can give me a little guidance on where you want to go from there as far as further information, or if that will be enough for you to make a decision or choose how you want to proceed.
All right.
So sidewalk project, we've obviously started that project for this year. If you remember, we had an encumbrance from last year. It took us a while to get bids and award the contract. So on Lee Street, over near Rawls Warehouse, Corks and Cattle, that area, that side has been poured. And then on the other side of the street, they're continuing that work. After that, the next phase will be to go back along Edward Street, closer to the Methodist Church, law offices that are there towards Daleville Avenue. If you've walked that way over the last year or so, I think Shannon and his team have marked the sidewalks yellow in a lot of areas where it was uneven. And we've had reports of tripping at some of the different events, and that precipitated us getting people out there to at least mark the sidewalks that were troublesome. And then from there, we're going to see if we have any more money in the contract. Remember, we're paying by how much concrete is used, and we've got kind of a cap on that. So the plan is to continue sidewalks until the money runs out. I think this year we had $250,000 in that budget. So that's where we're at on the sidewalk project. I would anticipate, hopefully, that being done by the end of the year, complete, the sidewalk project. Wastewater treatment plant.
The end of the calendar year.
At the end of the calendar year, yes, sir. On the wastewater treatment plant consultant, we did interviews for the top 3 firms that were narrowed down. from the RFP process. They were scored. The top 3 firms did in-person presentations. 2 of the council members, I think Councilman Pageant, and I'm not sure, Councilman Johnson, were you part of that?
I think it
No?
was just Councilman Paget.
Okay, just Pageant. And then Mayor Cooper were there, and then Barry Mott, Shannon Roberts, and Reggie Marsh were part of that team that did those interviews. At this point, I believe that they have made a recommendation. They're in the process of negotiating fees through a master services agreement to present to the council on a recommendation. If they're unable to do that, then I think the plan would be to go to the number 2 in that process. So we're moving along, and I think we'll have, I don't know if we'll start construction towards the end of the year, but certainly start work on the plans to go to construction. If you recall, part of that is also the grant that we were awarded through ADEM, the SRF application that Glenn and his team put together. We still have to comply by the rules of the SRF grant. So we won't start construction until the money is eligible to be given to the city. Transportation plan, again, we have that report back from Sane. I believe you've all seen that, at least on the two different routes. That's something that we haven't budgeted for beyond that, but if I need to get them to come in and do a presentation on that, or staff to do a presentation, just look for a little direction on that in terms of what you'd like to see. So if you recall, we talked about different routes within the comprehensive plan that were looked at. You gave me direction on 2 routes that you'd like to see. I think one of them connected somewhere around Coppinville Road and Rucker Boulevard, 84 area, and then one of them connected Porter Lunsford, Shellfield Road area to Rucker Boulevard. So there were a lot of outlying roads around the circle that would be kind of a next ring. How do we start connecting those roads? Which one do we, start a planning process on? And you guys selected 2. And so from those 2, the objective would be to get it down to 1 project, and then potentially in a future year fund some engineering or design on what that route might look like. Because at the end of the day, there can be several routes. So there's a short route, long route that's no, limited access. All of those cost different amounts of money, require a different amount of engineering, land acquisition potentially for some of them. I think all those need to be kind of flushed out in a presentation to you to figure out which route, if any, you'd like us to go down and actually spend money on, because the engineering piece could cost, a significant amount of money. So what would be your thoughts on that, council?
Does anybody have any thoughts on that? I think we'll just look for a recommendation from staff on next moves there.
Okay. On the police staffing, next steps, that's something we'll typically do in executive session. I think Chief gave a briefing in the last quarter. Obviously, we're still working on that, and we'll continue to do what we can on our law enforcement staffing. Southern Bypass Lighting Project, I sent an email to the council on that. ALDOT denied the plan that was submitted by Alabama Power on that. They didn't say, no, you can't have lights. They said, no, you can't have lights in the median. So currently, it's back with Alabama Power to design lights along the Southern Bypass from 167 South to 27 South along the shoulders of the roads. So essentially, what that looks like for us is no additional cost, just time, and additional poles that the power company is going to have to design instead of, so down the median, it was 1 pole, 2 heads, breakaway poles. Now it's going to have to be one on each side. And AlDOT cited safety in that letter, if you read it. And so they're going to go back, make that proposal, and I believe AlDOT will approve it. So it's just a timing issue. Let's see. Policies on the website and processes. Again, this is something I reiterated at the last meeting. If you all could look on the website on anything that you see that we're lacking, that you wanted. I know that Emily and the department heads have done a really good job over the last 8 or 9 months, updating things on the website, making changes that were requested. Everything from the button to notify council members and the mayor when somebody wanted to contact them and sending an email to everyone. But also our policies, our processes, fact sheets, how to. And I'm not saying it's perfect, but we're trying to hit the mark on what you want. And so if you could review that and see where we're deficient, if we are, so that I can get, the various departments that are impacted by, your comments, some time to work on that by the end of the year. I think we can make the changes, but just need to know kind of what those are at this point, because we've made a lot. And then the business license fixes are on the agenda for tonight. If you'll see that, it's just Schedule R. I went back through all the other ones that we talked about. Most of those have actually, there were 2 times in 21 and then once in 22 that some updates were made. Most of them have been updated, including the NACE codes added into it in the revision in 22. Schedule R had some wording issues, so that we clarified the wording. None of the fees actually changed substantially. It was more clarity for any discrepancies that might arise between how the city or a business owner might interpret the fee schedule. So we think we've done a good job in clarifying that, and that's what you'll see on the agenda tonight. So that's our update.
All right, any questions for Mr. Tellos on our Q4 goals?
Councilman, I do have one other update if Mariah's here. I don't know. She wanted to give an update on the Nook and some Main Street things. Should take 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
You're a little taller than me. Okay. The Main Street Enterprise Design Committee and Board would like to add electricity to the Nook space. And electricity would allow for additional programming, especially live music performances in that area. And we obtained a quote for the rewiring of the existing wall, as well as the addition of a 50-amp plug near the stage, specifically for musicians. And the total cost is about $3,700, and the total cost of new light fixtures in the wall would be about $1,000. The Main Street Enterprise Org Committee, though, has been fundraising for downtown beautification and has all of the necessary funds to cover that cost. I just wanted to take a minute to inform you and make sure that you didn't have any concerns before we start scheduling the work to be done.
Any concerns with that?
That's great.
Great.
Sounds great to me.
Thank
Super.
you.
Thanks. All right, we ready?
Yes, sir.
Any questions of Mr. Tellis before we move on to our agenda review? All right, see if we can get this done in about 8 minutes. So if y'all will turn with me to your regular meeting agenda so we can review that and be ready for the meeting at 6 o'clock. So as you can see, first few things: roll call, opening prayer, pledge of allegiance, agenda approval, and the consent agenda. So we've got some work session minutes and council meeting minutes to approve. Then we've got accounts payable A1A and accounts payable B, along with some Waterworks Board payables. And we've got contract billings from Beasley for the multipurpose rec fields and the pickleball courts. Then we've got our Phase 3B resurfacing payments to Wiregrass Construction, our new corporate hangar from Holland Contract, and you can see a progress payment there, and then invoices from Poly Incorporated for the multipurpose field, Lewis Incorporated for the CDBG project, that's the demolition project, and an invoice from KPS Group for our, I assume that's for our comprehensive plan services, and travel requests from the police department. Any questions on the consent agenda? All right, then we will move on to some police awards from, we'll recognize Mayor Cooper and Chief for that, privilege of floor and staff reports before moving to old business, of which we have none, so then we'll move to new business. We've got our funding agreements for the 2023 warrants, which is the, this is the funding agreement with the water board that funds the projects that they've got coming up. Any changes to any of that we've been discussing for several months now?
No, sir. No changes.
So in a nutshell, water board needed some funding for their projects. City loaned the money. We're turning that money over to the
That's right.
to the water board. This is simply the funding agreement that they're gonna service
That's
that
right.
debt.
It's really what I'd say is an amendment to the funding agreement because we already have one in place.
Yeah, okay.
And we will probably need to suspend the rules so that this can be taking place.
Right, yeah, you'll see there the note that Rayner put in our agenda that we need to suspend the rules for immediate consideration. So any concerns with suspension of the rules? All right, then we will amend the business license code. Again, to Jonathan's point, this is simply clarifying some things in Schedule R. It was written in a way that it could have been interpreted multiple directions, so we're clarifying that. Then, again, we'll need to suspend the rules to do that. You know, the intent of and the application of the ordinance is not changing. It's simply cleaning up some language there. Then we've got amending the employee classification plan for the school crossing guard. Anything we need to know on that, Chief or Jonathan? It seemed to be pretty straightforward. We're just increasing the pay there.
Yes, sir. We've discussed it in the past. It's already been budgeted for this next fiscal year, but it needs a resolution that we can increase the pay. It's minimum wage. They come out twice a day, take 2 hours of their time. I think it's worth more than $7 or $8 protecting our kids crossing the street. So,
Right.
yes, sir.
Any questions or concerns with that? All right, then we've got the authorized mayor to execute a grant agreement from ADECA regarding the PV Park access upgrades. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. So I think all of you may recall, but through the last legislative process, through the state legislature, Representative Marcus and Senator Carnley were able to secure $150,000 administered through ADECA, no match grant to support the PV Park project. So specifically, when we requested that, it had in mind to bridge the PV Park and community college side with an actual bridge. So that's where the funds will be used, and Billy Powell and his team did a great job working on the grant process through ADECA. Again, it's no match; it's just cash to us to do a project we were, intent on doing and running short on cash.
All right. Any questions? Sounds great. Then we've got the sanitation bulk waste collection request to purchase equipment. As you can see there, we got those three items. I believe all this was in our budget that we've just recently passed. So looks like I assume we're kind of phasing in all these pieces of equipment that we have budgeted.
Yes, sir. These are all those equipment that's listed in your list in your packet. Were budgeted items, and these are items that we need to go ahead and place the order on today, so we can get those in about March or April of next year. So we were trying to get the most high priority equipment ordered now, so that we'll have it for as soon as possible.
All right. Any questions of Barry on that? All right. Then we've got the permission to purchase equipment on the sanitation garbage truck, which is same story, right, Barry? And purchase inventory for Parks and Rec. These are budgeted items for the rec center, right?
That's correct. The budget items, and this is a process that we're going through, pretty much continuous council meetings to request purchases for the rec center and other new facilities that we're building.
So that would cover the conference room and chairs and the cubicle wall panels, right?
That's correct.
All right, any questions of Billy on those rec center purchases? Then we've got the request to close city offices for the annual employee luncheon. This, happens every year. Having it out here again, I assume, right?
Yes, sir. The plans to have it here at city, or at the Civic Center. And again, this is what we do kind of every year, have it catered, luncheon, maybe an appearance by Santa, we're not sure. But, try to make it festive and hopefully give back to, some sign of appreciation to the employees that do a great job here for the city.
Yeah. Any questions on closing offices for the annual Christmas party? All right, then we'll move on to mayor's report and council member comments. Any additions needed for, all right. Real quick, one item for, we do have a request to go into executive session, but one item I asked Jonathan to make sure we had on our work session. Council president, so, obviously I'm currently our council president. If y'all remember, the way we set this up was one year terms. So, the last 1 year term is up. So just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. We can have an election tonight. We can wait till the next meeting. Not a big deal to me. Just that wanted to bring that to y'all's attention that is up. So certainly happy to continue to serve, but also happy to pass the gavel to whoever else might want to.
Can we make a recommendation at this time?
We can certainly discuss it. We can't have an election. But, do y'all want to do this tonight, or do y'all want to wait 2 weeks?
Greg will be back in 2 weeks.
Okay, so you just want to put it on the regular agenda in 2 weeks?
And wait for Greg, that'd be good.
Okay. All right, Beverly, just put it on the agenda in 2 weeks. All right, then we've got executive session request from Mr. Telos and Mr. Cotter regarding real estate and economic development. Anything else we need to add to the motion?
No, sir, not at this time, and obviously no action will be taken.
Yeah, so I will entertain a motion to go into executive session regarding real estate and economic development.
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to go into executive session regarding real estate and economic development. Any discussion? So before we vote on that, we expect this will take approximately 25, 30 minutes. We expect to return prior to 6 o'clock and conduct no more discussion and work session, but go immediately into our regular meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will be back as soon as possible. We're going to go out.
go by the code.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got 6 o'clock, so I will call this meeting of the Enterprise City Council to order. Let the record show that Councilman Pageant is absent this evening. He's under the weather, but the remaining members of the council are present. If you would please stand with me for the opening prayer and Pledge of Allegiance. We've got Reverend Chris Thomas from First Presbyterian Church to lead us in our opening prayer.
All right, let's pray. Our blessed and only sovereign, our King of kings and Lord of lords, we would honor you this night, the ruler of the nations, the counselor of counselors, the one who appoints kings. You are the one who holds our times in your hand, and so we bow the knee before you. Lord, we pray much for your wisdom and for your spirit to guide these counselors. God, would you guide decisions that are made? We pray, Lord, that you would bless this great city. Would you pour out your spirit upon the wiregrass so that the knowledge of the glory of the Lord would cover the earth as the waters cover the sea. This we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
You'll man the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right, Council, you should have the agenda in front of you that we discussed previous to this in our work session, so I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda of the meeting as submitted.
I move to approve the agenda of the meeting as submitted.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the council for review, are considered to be routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the City Council with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request of a member of the City Council. I now call for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right. Let the record show I'll be abstaining because of a conflict with accounts payable B. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we'll move on to the presentation of some police awards. I now recognize Mayor Cooper and Police Chief Michael Moore for the presentation of awards to the following.
How you doing, sir? So let me explain first real quick what the Chief's Award is. Chief's Award is pretty difficult to get. You have to do something pretty amazing for attention to be brought to me through my chain of command. So I've only so many of these out. This is number 6. For my 3 years I've been here, this is number 6. So let me get Jeremy Nagy up here first, please. What these are coins. The coins are numeric going up. And I do ask because of my military background, that whenever somebody gets a citation, we stand in appreciation and respect of the officer or the person. So I do ask that everybody stands. Kind of attention to orders. Jeremy Nagy has exemplified himself as a computer technology consultant for the Enterprise Police Department. Although Jeremy is not a paid employee of the City of Enterprise, he always answers a call for assistance regardless of the crisis date, time, or location. Jeremy is always willing to assist in locating and procuring the best equipment for the police department at the best rate possible and ensuring the equipment is installed correctly and fully functional. He has volunteered to respond to the needs of the department and city, sometimes with his equipment and on his own time, to assist in a most positive outcome. His desire to serve his community and never-ending support for the men and women of the police department has earned him the prestigious Chief's Coin of Excellence. The distinctive accomplishments of Jeremy Nagy reflect great credit upon himself, his family, his employer, and the City of Enterprise Police Department. Thank you, Mr. Nagy, for your support and service. Thank you. So, a couple of things, like I said, I can talk about it all day, and pictures talk more than words. Those are all the things that he's been a part of. He hadn't looked, but took a couple of photos, just about everything that you've touched, you've had, you've dealt with, on or off, duty. Anytime myself, Captain Hagler, or anybody else needs something, we just call him. For example, even tonight, he had to prepare this for the police department because we couldn't get it working. So, thank you, Jeremy.
Yes.
All right?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I'll get your family up here. The second Chief's coin is going to Communications Officer Patricia Barnes. Family, come up too, please. Communications Officer Patricia Barnes has epitomized herself in her 25 years of service to dispatching. CO Barnes further exemplified her acceptabilities on 3 August 2023 at approximately 12:44 hours when she received a 911 call for service of a wreck involving a vehicle that struck a child in the Easy Money store. Despite the chaos and stress of experience in reporting such an event, CO Barnes processed the information and disseminated in all responding units on her own. Within less than 2-minute time frame, all while remaining calm and on the phone with the caller. Due to the severity of the injuries, the 8-year-old victim, life flight responded and needed to land in 4 lanes. CO Barnes again showed her abilities in a crisis and emergency by answering 6 police units, closing down the roadway, coordinating with Life Flight with landing zone coordinates, and messaging the State Department of Transportation and Traffic Management of the emergency road closing. Because seconds save lives, the distinct accomplishments of Communications Officer Barnes' ability to professionally and calmly accomplish all of her duties by herself in 113 seconds has earned her the prestigious Chief's Coin of Excellence. The distinctive accomplishments of Communications Officer Patricia Barnes reflect great credit upon herself, her family, and the City of Enterprise Police Department. Tammy Lynn, Dakota, will you come up here, please? So I want to take a quick look at those times. 911 calls taken at 12:44 by Patty. CAT entry with all information at 12:45 by Patty. Dispatched over primary radio, 12:45, and then advised fire and rescue by Patty. Ring down at 12:45, 2 tones to FD and ERI, which is rescue by Patty. Medical personnel, 1084, Patty. Resumed full primary traffic, Patty. Her partner returned to the room at 12:47. Lieutenant Hurley, his family, come up, please. So there's probably one award that's not just because it's my award, but it's more prestigious than the Chief's Award because of the importance of the award, and that's the Life Saving Award. I've said over and over again, there's nothing more sacred than the human life, and that's what we're here to protect and defend. So the Life Saving Award goes to Lieutenant Chris Hurley. On August 3rd, 2023, Lieutenant Hurley was first on the scene where a driver unintentionally struck the Easy Cash building, striking a young victim inside the business. Lieutenant Hurley made entry through a maze of broken glass and twisted metal to assess the victim's injury and concluded that the blood from her leg was life-threatening and must be stopped. Lieutenant Hurley swiftly snatched the belt from the father's waist and applied a makeshift tourniquet, preventing further blood loss and holding it tight until additional medical personnel arrived. Upon their arrival, Lieutenant Hurley directed them into the business to the wreckage so that they could apply a more suitable tourniquet. The medical team and doctors reported that had not been for Lieutenant Hurley's quick assessment and reaction in a situation where the 10th of a second counts, the 8-year-old girl would not be with her family today. The heroism of Lieutenant Hurley reflects greatly upon himself, his family, and the City of Enterprise Police Department. A couple of pictures from the scene that I thought was important. First of all, he was such in a rush, he forgot his body camera in his car. I was reviewing the body camera, and that's the first view I've got of him. It's actually when the helicopter was coming to save the body. So the rest of it is him running in and taking care of it.
Thank you, Chief, for that presentation, certainly. Congratulations, much deserved to Mr. Nagy, Ms. Barnes, and Officer Hurley. Thank you all very much for everything you do for our city and for our citizens. All right, now we will move on to the privilege of the floor, which is the time of the meeting where anyone from the public that's present here this evening that wishes to address the council may do so for, we'll give you 3 minutes to address the council. Is there anyone here that wishes to address the council? All right, seeing no one, we'll move on to staff reports. Any staff reports that were not able to be given in the work session? All right, don't see any of those. We'll move on to old business. We have no old business tonight, so we'll move immediately to new business and introduce ordinance 110723 regarding a funding agreement for the Series 2023 warrants. I introduce ordinance 110723 providing to amend warrant ordinance 091923 and authorize the mayor to execute and deliver the Series 2023 Water Board funding agreement by and on behalf of the city. So because we're introducing this tonight, if we want to take this up immediately, which is what we discussed in the work session prior, I'm going to need a motion to suspend the rules if that's what the council wishes to do.
I move to suspend the rules for the immediate consideration of ordinance 110723.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules so we can immediately consider ordinance 110723. Is there any discussion regarding the suspension of the rules? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries and the rules are temporarily suspended. I'll now entertain an ordinance, entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 110723.
I move to adopt ordinance 110723.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 110723. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now move on to introduce ordinance 110723A to amend the business license code. I introduce ordinance 110723A providing for an amendment to ordinance 081721C relating to the implementation of a new business license code. The amendment calls for a clarification of the fees for Schedule R in Section 32 of the Business License Code. All remaining provisions of Ordinance 081721C remain unchanged and in full force and effect. Again, we're going to need to suspend the rules if we want to immediately consider this.
I move that we suspend the rules for the immediate consideration of ordinance 110723A.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to suspend the rules so we can immediately consider 110723A. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries and the rules are temporarily suspended. I'll now entertain a motion to adopt ordinance 110723A.
I move that we adopt resolution 110723A.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 110723A. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now move on to review and consider resolution 110723 to amend employee classification plan for school crossing guard. I introduce and call for consideration of resolution 110723 providing for an amendment to ordinance 101601 which establishes the employee classification plan salary schedule. The amendment calls for the deletion of school crossing guard in pay grade A for $7.81 an hour and reclassifies the existing job classification in pay grade 9, part-time, $13.07 per hour. Do I hear a motion?
I move to adopt resolution 110723.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider authorizing the mayor to execute a grant agreement from ADECA regarding PV Park access upgrades. I call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute a grant agreement between the City of Enterprise and the Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs, otherwise known as ADECA, related to project number ALLI 24014. The grant will provide $150,000 for access upgrades at PV Park with no matching funds required from the city. Do I hear a motion?
I move to authorize the mayor to execute the agreement as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to execute the agreement as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We now consider the request for permission to purchase equipment from sanitation regarding bulk waste collection. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from City Engineer, Public Works Director Barry Mott to purchase the following equipment from Environmental Products Group through Sourcewell Purchasing Program at a total cost of $456,261.44. One Peterson RL3 rear loader at $190,700.20. One TT-2 debris trailer at $55,268.88, and one Peterson TL3 lightning loader at $210,292.36. I will point out that these are budgeted items. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the purchase request as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We now consider a request for permission to purchase equipment from sanitation regarding a garbage truck. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from City Engineer, Public Works Director Barry Mott to purchase one Heil 22-yard Liberty automated side loader garbage truck from Ingram Equipment Company through Sourcewell Purchasing Program at a cost of $309,949.71. This is also a budgeted item. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the purchase at request as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the purchase request as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider request permission to purchase inventory from Parks and Recreation regarding conference room chairs. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from Billy Powell, Director of Community Services and Recreation, to purchase 14 executive chairs for the conference room in the new recreation facility from Jasper Group, JSI, under Alabama State contract. The total amount of the purchase is $14,038.64. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the purchase request as submitted.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve the purchase request as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider request permission to purchase inventory from Parks and Rec regarding cubicle wall panels. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from Billy Powell, Director of Community Services and Recreation, to purchase cubicle wall panels for the open workspace in the new recreation facility from Affordable Interior Systems, MA, under the Alabama State contract at a total cost of $7,255.50. Is there a motion?
Move to approve the purchase request as submitted.
Second?
I have a motion and a second to approve the purchase request as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now consider a request to close city offices for the annual employee luncheon. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from Tammy Dorr, Director of Tourism and Community Relations, to close all city offices from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. on Thursday, December 14th, 2023, to allow city employees to participate in the annual Christmas luncheon at the Enterprise Civic Center. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the request to close the city offices as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the request to close the city offices as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we'll now move on to the mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you know, renovations are underway at the Enterprise City Hall. Starting tomorrow for the next week, visitors to the City Hall must enter through the back of the building. The entrance will be clearly marked. This is only temporary. Thank you in advance for your patience as we work to make City Hall into a space that will better serve our citizens. A reminder that during the renovation process, several of our departments have been relocated. Please check our website or stop by the mayor's office for a complete list of locations. October wrapped up a busy month for the city. Thank you for all who participated in our events like the Bo Weaver Festival, Fall Festival, Spooky in the Park, Kicking It with the Cops, the Smoke Detector Blitz, and Trick or Treat on Main Street. We appreciate your support of these events. This Thursday is Veterans Appreciation Community Luncheon here at the Civic Center. I understand tickets have been sold out. We're looking forward to celebrating and honoring our veterans in our community. Everyone is invited to the wreath-laying ceremony at the Wall of Freedom. That's on Thursday at 4:30 p.m. We hope you can join us. Don't forget that all city offices will be closed Friday to observe Veterans Day. The garbage collection schedules are adjusted for the holiday. A reminder that Thursday's garbage will be collected Wednesday and Friday's garbage will be collected Thursday. If you know of anyone looking for a job, the City of Enterprise is hiring. You can find a link to apply on our website, enterpriseal.com. Stay up to date with the city news and events through our website and our city's Facebook page. Thank you, Mr. President.
Ms. Rich?
I want to say congratulations to all of our award recipients tonight. I was truly touched by the presentation that Chief made to those individuals. And we thank God for them being where they were when they were there. And we thank you all for coming tonight. If you have not had an opportunity to check out the park improvements as they're ongoing right now at the Weeder Street Park, zoom by that way, I think you'll be impressed. When it's all done, it's gonna look really nice. And I know Parks and Recs is working real hard to make that a beautiful space for our citizens. So thank everyone for coming.
Mr. Goolsbee?
I would like to thank Chief Michael Moore for the presentations he did tonight. Very deserving and very emotional. I am very happy with the sound system that we have now. I can hear. I hope you can. Good night. Thank you all for coming.
Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, thank you everyone for coming, and thank you to all those that are online watching us. It's great to have our citizens checking in. I know 3 that called me, said they would be watching. But again, thank you to Tender Hurley, Miss Barnes, and Jeremy. Outstanding. It had me kind of in tears too, Chief. Watching Dakota down there, it was just amazing to see her here today. Thank you to all our outstanding city workers, the city departments, for everything they do each and every day for this city and for its citizens. God bless and have a great night.
Yeah, ditto what everybody had to say. Chief Moore, certainly thank you for that. And certainly, nothing that we can say up here to express how much we thank our officers every day, including our communications officers who certainly are there when we need them and are having our worst days. And thank you, Chief. Really appreciate these presentations, seeing how much you care about your men, how much you appreciate them and what they do. So thank you all very much. If you will, if you want to, you can stick around. We've got an E911 meeting immediately following this meeting. The city council is also the E911 board, so as soon as the room dies back down, we will reconvene in that board meeting. But that is all for the Enterprise City Council tonight. We are adjourned. Get the meeting room called to order. We're going to move forward with our E911 board meeting, so I will call that to order. And please let the record show that all members are present with the exception of Board Member Paget, who is out ill this evening. So our first item of business is to review the minutes of the October 3rd, 2023 board meeting. I will call for a motion to approve the October 3rd, 2023 board meeting minutes as submitted.
Move to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have no old business this evening, but we do have a few items of new business. First item being accounts payable A1 for September 2023. I will call for a motion to approve accounts payable A1 for September 2023 in the amount of $119.70.
I move to approve the accounts payable A1 for September 2023.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? I was going to ask Tangi if we need to know anything unusual about this. It's only $119, so,
What's it for?
yeah. It's to it's a United Parcel Service and a
Yes,
Brightspeed. Is that,
It's earmarked, a bill comes in every month, it's normal.
But what is it?
what's the Brightspeed bill?
The UPS,
Okay.
it's UPS, it's
Oh,
just
it's all
mail.
UPS.
Yes,
The $111 is also, well, I see the UPS for $8, but what? So the,
the UPS is the $8 plus the Brightspeed, the 111.70,
right,
so those two amounts together.
gotcha. All right. Any questions, concerns? All right, we've got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. I'll now call for a motion to approve accounts payable A for October 2023 in the amount of $50,023.63. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve accounts payable A for October 2023.
Second?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Looks like most of this is Ed Sherling Ford for the vehicle that we had previously
Yes, sir.
approved. All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. You have anything else for us?
We're just going to move forward with the purchase of, at least asking for your approval for the purchase of the furniture from Zybex that's going in for the renovation for dispatch. And we talked about that at our last meeting. I gave you the paperwork. I don't know if you got a chance to look at it or not, but I do have copies here if you don't have your copies in your packet.
So you're asking for action on that this evening?
Yes, sir, I am, to approve the Zybex furniture purchase. That purchase amount was at,
Yeah, it's just not on our agenda
It's
here, so
not.
you'll need to give us that amount.
yes, sir. That was $93,849.52. It's earmarked and it's already budgeted for our furniture for the remodel.
So give me that amount again, 93.
93,800, sorry, $849.52.
93,849.52.
Yes, sir.
And who was the vendor?
Zybex, XYBIX. Zybex?
All right, yeah, I remember that now. Zybex.
Did we need to put that out? Okay.
All right, so she's asking us to approve this expenditure tonight. I mean,
Come back, Chief. From what I understand, since it's over $50,000, we need to bid it out.
okay,
We've already gone to look at what Zybex has already done in New Brockton. Councilman or our board, Johnson, he saw all the furniture. We've looked in Evans, but they were the cheapest, but we can do this the way my board wants to do it.
well, unless it's being bought off of out of a bid out of one of the state programs, don't we have to take it to bid?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's what they just said.
Yeah, so, all right, well then we'll wait for y'all to bring us back. Do we need to give you permission to go to bid? I would assume we probably need to do that, don't we?
That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
You-
So I'll
permission to get
entertain a
bids.
motion to grant permission to go to bid for the furniture regarding City Hall renovations.
I move that.
Furniture and equipment, right?
Yes, furniture and equipment.
I move that we grant permission for it's appropriate staff to seek bids for furniture and equipment for the new space.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. What else?
That's it.
Anything else from the board? Hearing none, we will adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.